All right, with that, let's start the next one. So let me just make a little bit of room here. And we're going to go with the same process. So minus 8 minus 6i over 3 plus I. We're going to multiply the top and the bottom by the conjugate of the denominator. So remember, the real part stays the same, and then the imaginary part just has an opposite sign. And you can always tell you're multiplying by the right number because your denominator will end up being a real number rather than a complex number. So if you're doing this right, your denominator should not have any i's left in that after performing the operations. So let's do the top first. Let me redraw that. So we got minus 8 times 3, that's minus 24. And minus 8 times minus I, so plus 8i. Minus 6i times 3, minus 18i. And minus 6i times minus 1, or minus I, would just be plus 6i squared. And in the bottom, 3 times 3 is 9. And then you get 3i minus 3i, or really minus 3i plus 3i. So the middle terms cancel. And then you get plus I times I squared, so that's minus I squared. Now rewriting this and substituting in I squared as negative 1. So you get minus 24. This becomes a minus 10i. This becomes a minus 6. Because positive 6 times negative 1 is negative 6. And in the bottom, I squared is negative 1, so we're subtracting negative 1, so it's the same as adding. Now simplifying further, you get minus 30 minus 10i over 10. And 10 divides into both of these. 30 divided by 10 is minus 3. And minus 10 divided by 10 would be minus 1, or just minus I. So when you divide these, minus 3 minus I would be our final answer. But let's keep moving. And we're just going to be doing the same process. So it's just getting practice multiplying the bottom and the top by the conjugate of the denominator. So in this case, again, always keep the real number the same and just change the sign to a negative if it's positive. If it starts negative, then you change it to a positive. So it's always the opposite sign. Whoops. And so we're going to multiply the top by the same number so that we're just multiplying by 1 and we're not changing anything. So when we multiply the top, minus 23 and 5, let's see, 5 times 20 is 100, 5 times 3 is 15, so that's minus 115. And you have plus 23i, and then plus 55i from these two. And then minus I times 11i would be minus 11i squared. And now in the denominator, 5 and 5 make 25. And the middle terms cancel. You get minus 5i plus 5i. And then the last ones, I times negative I, would be minus I squared. Now simplifying in the top, got that minus 115. And then adding these together, let's see, that would be 78i. And then instead of minus 11i squared, since I squared is negative 1, this just becomes plus 11. All divided by 25 plus 1, or 26. Since I squared is negative 1, and you're subtracting a negative, which is the same as adding. Now, minus 115 plus 11 would take us to minus 104 plus 78i. And these are each divisible by 26. So 104 over 26 is minus 4. 78 over 26 is 3. So when we divide these numbers, you get a nice clean answer of minus 4 plus 3i. And we'll do one last one. So let me just rewrite it. Minus 14, no I there, plus 22i, all divided by minus 2 minus 4i. And for this one, we multiply top and bottom by minus 2 plus 4i. So we're just multiplying by that conjugate again. And in the top, you get minus 14 and minus 2 would be 28. Then you get minus 56i from minus 14 and 4i. Minus 2 and 22i would be minus 44i. And lastly, we have 22i and 4i, so that would be a plus 88i squared. So that's the top. Now we can look at the bottom. So minus 2 and minus 2 would make 4. Then you have minus 8i plus 8i. So those middle terms cancel as we wanted. And minus 4i times 4i would be minus 16i squared. Now simplifying, I squared is -1, so you get 28. Now this would be minus 100i, and then minus 88, all divided by 4 plus 16, because I squared is -1, minus 16 times -1 is positive 16. So you get 20 down below, and 28 minus 88. So if you take away 8, that goes to 20, then take away 80, that goes to minus 60, minus 100i over 20, and this will simplify nicely. 60 over 20 is 3, and 100 over 20 is 5. So minus 3 minus 5i is our answer.